You're watching Next Pitch, the student athlete playbook for parents raising tomorrow's athletes.
Hi, my name's Anthony Leveritz, host of the Next Pitch podcast. Along with my producer, Jason Cardona, we are pleased to bring you a series on student athlete journey. This is a podcast for student athletes, parents, coaches, anybody supporting those student athletes. And today we're going to be joined by Jack Layne. Jack Layne is a quarterback at the University of New Mexico. Started out in high school at Lake Oswego High School, was the Gatorade Player of the Year, won a state championship, did local legend in the community that I live in, went on to Idaho and has had really a unique journey through college football to get where he is now. And we are super excited to have him on. As good a football player as he is, he's an even better dude. So we're super excited to have him on board with us today. All right. Welcome to the Next Pitch podcast. Jack, I will have properly introduced you before you pop on here. But first of all, thank you for joining us, and give us a little bit of your background. Somebody runs into the elevator to you there in Albuquerque while you're waiting to get some green chili. What is the how do you describe yourself?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, man. This is really cool. I would start, man, I love football. That's what I always start with. I'm a football junkie, always have been since high school. I think I really get it from two things. My grandpa, he's he's from Buffalo, big Buffalo Bills guy. And then I have a twin brother, actually, identical twin brother. His name is Dylan. Plays football at Idaho, plays middle linebacker. So picture me with 20 pounds. And that's him.
I've seen him. He's a lot better looking than you, too. He got the good looking gene.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he did. He lucked out. So having him around, growing up with him, man, just that competitive aspect really, really helped me just love sports, love competing, love football, stuff like that. So like you said, born and raised Lake Oswego, awesome place to grow up, as you know. Really great childhood. Actually didn't play QB until my freshman year because we didn't have a quarterback. So Coach Tim Haney, I don't know if you know him, threw me in there. Never looked back. Started 2 years in high school, junior year, senior year. Was awesome, man. Layne was actually played tight end. Really cool playing with him and our chemistry. I was telling one of our receivers coach the other day, like he would just know where to be. We were always on the same page. He would just like change his route, and it was honestly such a blessing playing with him growing up, getting to throw him the ball. Had 2 great years. Wasn't really highly recruited. Got an opportunity to walk on at Idaho. Kind of because, actually I have a funny story. Dylan was getting really heavily recruited by the Big Sky FCS programs, and the coach came to recruit him at our high school, and he was like, "Hey, do you know I have a twin brother who plays quarterback? Do you want to watch him throw?" And he was like, "Sure." So we ended up going out and throwing routes, and then he, after that, offered me an opportunity to play there. Forever grateful for that. It's kind of how I got to Idaho. Sat a couple years behind Giovanni McCoy, quarterback. He transferred to Oregon State last year. Now he's at Texas State. Really good player, really good dude. Awesome guy to learn from. And then got to start last year for the first time. We made the quarterfinals. Awesome year, ups and downs, a lot of adversity. I'm sure we'll get into it, but grateful that's how I ended up here.
So let's go backwards. Youth sports. Okay. So started out, when did you first get a ball in your hand? And was it a football, or were you a multi-sport athlete growing up? Or was it football all the way from the very get-go?
Yeah, I would say 3-sport athlete growing up. I think Coach Corey, who you had on Steve Corey last episode, he's a great advocate for, hey, we want you guys to be 3-sport athletes, multi-sport athletes. It really helps you be a better football player in the long run. I was a baseball guy, basketball guy, and then obviously football. Um, didn't play tackle football until I think 4th grade. My mom wouldn't let me play in 3rd, but my grandpa convinced her the next year. Um, yeah, and then came up playing through the LO youth program. Great program, great coaches. A lot of the coaches were younger guys, almost high school guys, and then dads that were really smart and really just knew how to work with kids well. And yeah, that's kind of how I grew up playing football through that program.
So as a multi-sport athlete, we talked a lot about this. How obviously at some point in time you knew that you wanted to be a college football player, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't going to be college basketball, wasn't going to be college baseball. You wanted to be a college football player. How did you get that extra time to make sure that you were working on the development of the sport that you wanted to play deep into your life while still being a baseball player and a basketball player?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely time to work on your skills during, let's say, basketball season. Like I'm sure Kyler's doing 7-on-7, but he's also hooping.
Yeah. Kyler's
Um,
my son. He's also a Bills fan, by the way. I don't know if you know that or not, but
I did
Kyler is,
not.
yeah. Other than Jack Layne,
Let's
I think
go.
that Josh Allen might be his favorite quarterback. So yeah, they're a big Bills fan.
Let's go. Love that. I would say just the biggest thing is you got to keep competing. I think that goes under appreciated. Just uh, being able to compete each season and play on a team and stuff like that really is underappreciated and important, I think, for young kids.
I think it's a great point because when all you're doing is training, you lose that edge of having to wake
Totally.
up and play a game on that day.
Totally.
And there is something, and especially if you're not as good, right? When you're a great player at something, you just wake up and compete. You walk in and you're the best. When you have to compete at something that may not be your best sport, you got to figure out how to
Totally.
contribute
Yeah.
still. And I think there is a huge value to that in the other two sports. It's a point that we haven't talked about so far. I think that's a great point.
Yeah. No doubt.
So you get into high school. You hadn't played quarterback until you were a freshman. When did you start thinking, okay, this is what I want to do? When I grow up and I'm in college and I'm done with this high school deal, I want to be a college football player.
Yeah, I was always really good at Madden, actually. Whooped all my friends growing up. Um, and in like 8th grade, 9th grade, they were like, "Hey, you should try quarterback, man. You really know what you're doing." And I could always throw the ball good, so tried out quarterback. And then I really had a coach, 2 coaches, Coach Steve Smith. I think
Yeah,
he's D coordinator at LO right now,
yeah.
and then Coach Nick Hallberg, 2 guys who really believed in me. Kind of the first guys to tell me I could do it when didn't even believe I could do it. This was probably freshman year, sophomore year, when I was still like a buck 50. Um, but man, they believed in me, and just having someone who believes in you is really, really big, I think, was huge for me at least. Just getting that confidence and then just trusting them through the process and stuff.
Well, so you get the opportunity. Well, first of all, you win in a state championship, right? I think we would be remiss not to talk about that. There's not very many people, obviously one team every year that gets to do that. What was that experience like, representing your community and representing your school and having a chance? I know how much love and respect everybody that plays for Coach Corey has for him, being able to get that dude another state title. What was that like? As a group for you guys to be able to do that?
Yeah, man, it was really cool. So that was my freshman year. Really got to play scout team QB, which I think for any QBs listening, you want to play scout team. That's where you grow the most. I wish I got to play that at Idaho. I was kind of thrown into the QB2 role right away, so I didn't get to do that. But that's really where I really got better because I was a freshman going against guys like, I don't know if you know Marshall McGuire, Tiger Shanks,
Yeah, I
guys
know the
who are
names.
playing at the
Yeah,
next level.
yeah.
Um, so I got to play scout team, and I really felt like I contributed to the team, even though I was a freshman. And then we won that year. It was really cool. And then got to play in the game the next year as a sophomore. Quite win, but just playing in those big time games, man, it really lit a fire under me and got me to start dreaming and stuff like that.
And then senior year was the year you were Gatorade Player of the Year, right?
Yep, senior year.
And how? So I've talked to a lot of kids over the years, right? That had this dream of wanting to play at the next level and want to be a Division I athlete, and then those Division I offers don't come, right? Like
Yep.
you're people believe in you, you're having success on the field, your team's winning, you're leading, and then there's a part of you that's like, what the hell's going on? I'm not getting recruited where I want to be recruited at. How did you deal with that as that process was not happening for you? And obviously you told us how you got to end up at Idaho, but how did you deal with that process, and how did that kind of help shape you as that competitiveness that you walk around with?
Yeah, it was tough. I can't lie, it was tough because obviously I believed I could play at the next level, but it was just coach after coach just overlooking me, um, throwing my name away. But I think that just taught me to, hey, you're not there yet, just keep working, which my grandpa and my dad really taught me how to do is just, hey, when stuff's not going well, man, who cares? Work harder. You can always get better. So just that piece and then just staying patient. Um, yeah, just trusting that it'll all work out. It's tough for sure.
So you get, and I think this part of this for especially for athletes listening to this, you finally get that opportunity, right? You get to college, you've been the man for a couple years, and had, here I am, I'm the Gatorade Player of the Year, and I get a chance to go to college, and now all of a sudden I'm redshirting, right? And I don't get to play on Saturday afternoons. What was that experience like for you, going from being Gatorade Player of the Year, starting quarterback at Lake Oswego High School, to all of a sudden, all I get to do is practice? And
Yeah.
kind of knowing that, how did you internalize that and make that a positive experience for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, every dude in college was their best player on their high school team. It's actually funny. I remember my first day of summer workouts. I get my locker, and the dude next to me is like a 24-year-old, seventh year guy. Says what's up to me. I'm like this 18-year-old kid just in shock. Um, but it's cool, and redshirting honestly was awesome just because I could just really focus in practice and treat practice like a game and learn from the guy ahead of me and just kind of soak everything in, um, knowing that my time has not come yet. And it's honestly, I'm happy I redshirted. Really got to go.
So when I want to kind of rewind here just a little bit, and I've watched you work out and been fortunate enough to see you throw and kind of go through. I'm not around you day to day, but just the little bit that I've gotten to observe you, it seems to me that your routine is really important to you when you show up on the field, right? And I think this translates to every single sport that there is. You walk into a gym, you don't start jacking up 25 footers, right? We form, shoot, and work our way out in every sport. So you have a very, very specific routine that you go through, and I don't expect you to give it here, but why is that so important to you, of kind of those building blocks of continuing to be in that routine to help yourself develop, as you've obviously gotten to a pretty high level already?
Yeah, so a couple things. In high school, I remember junior year, I hurt my back. I remember getting an X-ray, and it was actually I had like a little wedge fracture is what they called it in one of my vertebrae. Kind of the worst pain I've ever felt. And after that, I told myself, hey, I'm never gonna let myself get back to that level. I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure I'm healthy so that I can give myself the best opportunity to kind of achieve my dreams and play at this level and give myself a shot. Because if you're not on the field, you can't give yourself a chance. Um, and then from that, I think I just developed a super kind of routine mindset, I guess, because when you're in the game, you don't want to think. So you got to do something. They say 10,000 hours. You got to do something, man, over and over and over until it's just boom. You're not thinking, you're just reacting almost when you're out there. That's how I see it.
So I want to, one more thing before we get into your college experience. You obviously were a great student too, right? I don't know your GPA, but I know it was high, and you were, I think, part of the National Honor Society in high school. Did it had a great academic career as well, and I would assume that that's translated to college. At least
My
your
mom would
parents.
like that you mentioned that.
I'm here for your mom. So how do you balance that, and how important is that, and is that just a competitiveness that I'm going to be good at everything that I do, or was school easy for you, or how do you think about the academic experience as a student? Because it's obvious there's that student / athlete, and student comes first. What is that piece been for you?
Yeah, I think my parents just did a great job of instilling the importance of academics, and Dylan and I and my little brother Matt, and also Coach Eck, who's head coach here at New Mexico, who was at Idaho previously with me. His thing is championship behavior. It's like how you do one thing is how you do everything. You gotta act like a champion before you actually become a champion. So like if you think you're doing the little things, you're gonna do little things right on the field. If you're not like doing the details right in the classroom, you're kidding yourself because it kind of all goes together. Kind of like the how you do one thing is it's going to translate over to every other aspect of your life. So that's kind of how I've been looking at it, and it's definitely helped to kind of have that discipline in all facets, not just on the football field.
Yeah. So let's talk some football now. So you get to Idaho, you redshirt, and then year 2, you get a chance to play a little bit and have some success, right? Like there's the stats are pretty good for the amount of games that you get into, and then year 3 rolls around and you're the guy. And then you guys come and play Oregon, and we were fortunate enough to get to go down and watch that game. And you gave them a tussle. And towards the very end of that game, I think some big man landed on top of you and broke your collarbone. And then you're out for what, 8 weeks, 9 weeks?
Yeah, 8 weeks.
Yeah. So new adversity, right? You go through not being recruited and get a chance to walk on. You bust your tail and you get a chance to play. And then on the biggest stage that you're going to get to play on, right? Especially, playing in Autzen Stadium at home, you get another injury. What happened in your brain and in your body, and how did you deal with that? Like that I've seen it over and over again. It's a brutal experience. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was kind of the first big injury I've ever had to deal with besides that back issue in high school. So it was kind of first for me. Um, kind of it was torture not being able to, because it was my throwing arm. Like I wish it was my left arm so I could still at least throw a ball. It was torture, but I had really good support staff, really good trainers. Because I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. But just, hey, I'm gonna do my rehab to 100% of my ability. I'm gonna do my recovery. I'm gonna skip my sleep. Control what I can control, because at the end of the day, injuries, you can't control them, but what you can control is kind of how you respond to them, and how they shape you.
Yeah. I remember you telling us it could have been worse.
Yeah, I remember
yeah.
when it first happened, man. I thought it was like rotator cuff, Drew Brees, Chargers injury,
Yeah.
where I'd have to learn to throw again. And I was thankful it was just the collarbone and not the shoulder, but yeah, definitely could have been worse.
Did you ever have any fear, of either fear of I won't be able to make it back, or fear of when I do come back, oh my God, I don't want to get injured again? And if you didn't, how did you keep that out of there? And when you get back on the field, what was that thought process of getting back on the field, or was it just here we go again?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing was I'm just so much more thankful every time I step out there, no matter if it's a freaking walkthrough
Yeah.
or if it's a game. Like every time I'm on that field, I'm just thankful to be able to throw the ball. That's what this injury has taught me. And I'm sure other guys can relate to that, because once it's taken away, it's tough, and you're doing everything you can to get that feeling back. And so I would say just keeping that faith, and that was the biggest thing.
What what went through your head? Because you played one game or 2 games and then got hurt again, right? Like you hurt, I think it was your wrist. Like at some point in time, and I think this is whether it's because whether you're winning or because you lose, it's always this here we go again thing that you have to fight, right? Like that there's I'm just cursed. Like there's something wrong with me. Just problem after problem. What was that? What was that emotion that went through your brain, through your body?
Yeah, you got to fight that because it's just human nature. But so it was that first game back, the Eastern Washington game. We had a great game, man. We were rolling. Kind of like second quarter, I landed on my wrist awkwardly after like throwing the ball and getting hit. Didn't think much of it. It was kind of hurting, but like adrenaline was masking it. But and then the next day, I just couldn't even move it. Obviously frustrating, just rehab for what, 7, 8 weeks every gosh dang day to get back, and then boom, just takes one play to put you right back on the bench. But you really got to fight that. Your brain's going to tell you, hey, you can't do this, man. You're just fragile. Just this season, just medical red shirt. Just move on to the next season. But again, I had great support around me. All the guys were with me every step of the way and supporting me. And yeah, man, injuries are the worst part of this game. I always say that. If when I get asked the question, what's one superpower you could have, is I would say not injured. I wish that for everyone, man, because it's tough.
Yeah. So you guys make it to the playoffs, right? Like as you mentioned, you made it into the second round, and then season comes to an end, and your coach leaves, right? And obviously, you have a deep amount of respect for this, for Coach Eck and what he's done both for you, the program. Obviously, you enjoy being in that, and you make the decision to enter the transfer portal. What was that being? And ultimately, you end up where your coach ends up, right? But what was that being in that portal all over again after not being recruited, or being recruited lightly in high school? Was there some craziness that occurred once your name hit that portal?
Yeah, man, the portal is crazy. I don't know if I'm a fan of it, honestly, because like I said, I mean, I love football. It's what I love to do. I'm not here for all the stuff that comes with it nowadays in college sports. But I was honestly I wasn't even paying attention to the other offers I was getting, other interests. I was trying to decide between staying with Coach Eck and going back to Idaho, just because he took a chance on me, and I'm a loyal guy. So I would say either decision I would have made would have kind of aligned with my loyalty that I really value. So that was kind of the thought process there.
So just because people listening to this are super interested in the portal stuff and NIL and kind of how all that works. And you had a couple other guys, right? A couple of your receivers that ended up doing the same thing and going to other places. Just being a part of that and navigating that. What is that like as a student in because it's not this long process like it typically is, sophomore, junior, senior year, getting to know
Right.
people, going through that. All of a sudden, I'm in the portal, got to make a decision, got all this stuff coming at me. What was that like for you and your guys as you guys were navigating that process?
No, man, it's stressful because it happens, like you said, so quick. I mean, it's such a short window. Um, I would say we were all pretty close during that time during the portal, especially me and Jordan Dwyer, who's number 6, and then Mark Hamper, 2 receivers that played with me. We're all pretty close, but they ended up getting some good opportunities at other places. We talked about it, and just happy for them. I would never fault a guy for taking an opportunity, whether that's whatever sport, whatever amount of money. So that could be life-changing money, and so it's honestly crazy, but it also is a blessing for a lot of guys too.
Once you enter that, are people, just for people listening, are they people just able to text you immediately? Can you block all that stuff, or phone start ringing off the hook? Like Twitter, is it through X? Like how is that communicating? You sit in class and your phone, you enter the portal, and all of a sudden my phone just goes crazy?
No, literally, a lot of it happens through Twitter, and then you can give your phone number out, and then a lot of guys end up having to get agents because I mean I knew what I was going to do, so I didn't have to get an agent and stuff, but a lot of guys have to do that because man, it's so much. It's honestly sloppy the way it is now, and I think they're going to have some rules as it gets crazier and crazier. But yeah, man, they just flood you with text.
If you were the czar of college football or college athletics right now, I'm going to give you the power for 1 minute to tell me how the NIL and maybe you don't have an answer to this, but how the NIL and transfer portal could be adjusted to benefit both the student athlete's ability to move, but also not burdening them with the crazy process that you have to go through. What would that look like?
Yeah,
Czar Jack, here you go. What's your what do you got?
couple thoughts. I would say kind of like the franchise tag in the NFL. Like, I think there should be some cap, or I think if we're really prioritizing academics too, if we're still student athletes, I would say these athletes can like get the money maybe 4 or 5 years after college. I've heard someone say that, or when they leave college, whatever that is, just so it doesn't play as much of a factor kind of into the decision making. I don't know. It's honestly crazy.
It's not it's certainly not a perfect situation. I'm a fan of it in the principle of it, right? Because coaches
Totally.
can leave at any point in time,
Totally.
and student athletes have always been penalized for moving, having to redshirt and sit out, and I think that's ridiculous. And the idea that you couldn't make money off of this great ability that you've worked on your whole life also to me was crazy. So figuring out how to get guardrails that make this a much smoother system is something that people way smarter than me are going to get figured out. But every single coach or player I talk to I'm just grateful I'm not having to deal with it as a coach. But if they can get that figured out and make it the best world for everybody, obviously big.
Totally.
You decided then to move to New Mexico, right? You followed Coach Eck. And in that decision, you're leaving your brother behind. You got a twin brother, and you just said that he could read your mind as a receiver. Obviously, he's playing on the defensive side at Idaho. But what is that decision like? Was he like, "Come on, bro, what are you doing? Are you leaving behind here?" Or what was how did that play? And are you guys both going to be able to be invited back to Thanksgiving? What's the process like for the family here?
Yeah, I never thought. First of all, I never thought I would go to college with him to start,
Okay.
and then it worked out that way. And man, I was so thankful. It was such a blessing. It was awesome having him around because we kind of had the same friends, same schedule, same kind of motivations, and so it was tough leaving him because I've been by his side my whole life, and we're obviously best friends. We still talk damn near every day, but it's weird. It's definitely weird not having him around.
So New Mexico football, okay. Coach Eck coming in, obviously big expectations and what you guys want to do. For the folks in Albuquerque who are listening to this, and folks in the Mountain West Conference that are listening to a new group in town, right? New coach, and hopefully you win the starting job there as the quarterback. What should the Lobos fans be expecting to see from New Mexico football going forward?
Yeah, I would say to start with Coach Eck, man. You're getting a coach that loves football, has a real passion for this stuff, man. Which honestly I think is rare. Talking to a couple of my buddies that have transferred, who have told me about their head coaches that they play for, it's just different. He loves football. He's going to do everything in his power to bring this kind of hidden gem kind of to light, I would say, because man, we're the show in town, us and the Pit, the Hoopers over there. So if we can get this thing rolling, man, we're gonna have a lot of support, which is really exciting. And man, we're working hard every day for you guys, and it's all that matters, honestly, to me.
When you get done playing in college, what are your aspirations beyond? What are you trying to do with football? Do you see football as part of your future beyond college? Where do you feel like you fit into the future?
Yes.
Yes.
That's my answer. Obviously, man, I love this stuff. People ask me, what's your major in college? I'm like, football.
What's your second major?
Football coaching.
when you get your degree, this is for your mom. When you get your degree, what is that degree going to say on it?
Hopefully, like pre-health, Spanish minor.
Hopefully, come on, man. You guys with the transfer portal and the NIL, you do still have to go to class.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm actually taking coaching class right
Oh,
now
cool.
with this super cool professor. His name is Dr. Horn. He coached tennis back in England, I think.
Okay.
Really cool guy. The most engaged I've ever been in a class in my life.
That's great.
It's
So,
cool.
just quickly, family and kind of how they shape you. You have some family that played professional football, correct? Is that
Yep.
Belisari is the name, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that uncles that played in the league?
Yeah, he's my uncle. He played Mike at Ohio State. Wore a big
Buckeye.
neck
Yeah.
roll.
Oh, he's a
He-
neck roll
He's a
guy.
beast. He was a
Yeah.
beast. And then I got to play with the Buccaneers for some time, which was cool. And yeah, he's been such a good mentor for me growing up. I remember I would just beg him for, hey, send us workouts when me and Dylan were in middle school. And now over the summer when we hung out with him, he stole Dylan's uh, defensive scheme play binder and was like taking pictures of everything, calling his head coach because he coaches the defense in Ohio where he lives, and they
Okay.
actually won the state title with the best defense in the state
Okay.
after looking at that stuff. So yeah, he's awesome.
That's
Such a
great.
cool.
So speaking of mentoring, I just do this with everybody before we wrap up and let you get back to class. I know you're busy, as you just pointed out, very busy student athlete here.
Yep.
So, what I do with everyone is when I was coaching, I had my players write me a 5-page paper that talked about building a crystal ball for their future, right? So it was a kind of a playbook for the rest of their life. What I want to do with you is do a reverse crystal ball. If you could right now at 21 years old, go back to 10-year-old Jack Layne, 11-year-old, 12-year-old Jack Layne, and give him the best advice you possibly could about your future life, what would you tell your younger self right now?
Man, quit worrying about everything. Honestly, just focus on the now. I was always a guy who was worrying about the future and had regrets from the past. But no matter what happens, life's gonna move on, as you know, and just worry about the next moment.
Yeah, I think that it's really one of those things that if you can figure that's great advice for me. I'll be 51 here in a couple months. If living in the present and enjoying the moments that you have, if you're so worried about what might happen or what just happened, you never get to enjoy what you're doing.
Totally.
And it's great advice. All right, last thing before I let you go. I need a dad joke. I need your best dad joke that you can possibly bring to the table. And if you can make me, if I don't laugh, it'll be a miracle. So I need your best dad joke.
All right. You
All right,
ready?
I'm ready.
Have you seen that new movie at the theaters? I think it's called Constipated.
No, I have not seen the new movie Constipated.
Well, it hasn't come out yet.
Oh, you can sling it and you can tell a good dad joke. You got a great future ahead of you, man. I appreciate it. Well, I am super grateful that you joined us today, and I really enjoyed the conversation, and we will be rooting for you to have great success both for yourself and for your team this year, and looking forward to watching you progress in your career, man. Really appreciate you coming
Yes,
on.
sir. Really appreciate you for having me. This was awesome.
All right, Jack. Talk to you soon, man. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Lobo's up, baby.
Hi, Anthony Leverett here, host of the Next Pitch podcast, and just had an opportunity to interview Jack Layne, a quarterback from the University of New Mexico, and really appreciated him coming on the show. Had a great time chatting with him. His excitement for life in football and what's to come is contagious, and can't help but have a great time when you're talking to that young guy. And some of the things he talked about were really impactful. And the first thing is belief. And that really resonated with me was when he started to believe in himself, was when somebody else believed in him. He had never played quarterback as a youth football player and was a Madden extraordinaire apparently in as a young guy. But when he got into high school, they needed a quarterback, and someone believed in him and gave him a vision for what he could become. And sometimes that's all it takes. So if you're a coach out there and you see something in somebody, being able to impact a young person's life by giving them that confidence that you believe in what they can become is a huge gift that you can give to kids, and a huge responsibility in coaches to make that or to provide that fertile ground for young people to become passionate about something. And all it took for him was that first person, and he took the bull by the horns, and now has an opportunity to do some really, really incredible things with football. Competition. I think obviously Jack's a college football player, and the competition at that level is intense. He got to the conversation we had about it was him going to Idaho, where he started, and being a redshirt freshman. And a lot of people, see that competition as threatening. And I think if you can shift that in the way that he talked about it as an opportunity to learn and grow, you're gonna get way more out of that. And seek out competition, seek out areas where you're going to be stretched, seek out that opportunity to maybe not quite be the best in the room at what you're doing. And that's going to give you that opportunity to grow. And it's not just in college. That can be you go from being a youth player to a middle school player, from a middle school player to a freshman player, from a freshman player to trying to be a varsity player. Seek out that competition. That competition is what's going to help you excel. And you're going to fail. And this is something, that we talk about on a regular basis. You're going to fail. You're not going to be quite up to the level where you want to be, but that's the opportunity for growth. Seek competition, compete, maybe not get where you want to be, go back and work on your game, come back, be a little bit better. And that's that process that competition in the right environment can provide the skills and the opportunity for growth. And then, for Mountain West Conference fans and Lobo fans in general, just listening to Jack talk about what, Coach Eck is going to do there in Albuquerque with that football program, with, Jack. Obviously, there's some water to go under the bridge for him to be the starting quarterback, but my money would be on the fact that he's going to do everything he can to earn that. I would get your season tickets now, because they're going to be fun to watch, and there's going to be an exciting brand of football played in Albuquerque, and just can't wait to watch that program develop and grow, and super excited for Jack to be a part of that, and grateful that he gave us his time to share some of his background and his story with us. Until next time, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.